This is Chaz Lovelace reporting on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club project. So this is me just going over the project report 1 on behalf of Angel, Brett, and Keith. So this first page is just our cover page, and then going through, we have our table of contents that lists the page number for each section of this report. And then, so this very first thing is a progress report. It just completely mimics the dashboard, just in a different layout. So as you can see, we have all of our works completed within this reporting period, which is September 12th through October 5th. We discussed this earlier in the video earlier this week, and then so we have our work to complete in the next reporting period. A little bit has changed from that, from the previous video this week. What's going well and why? We'll get into this a little bit more with the after actions report later on in this report. Similar with what's not going well. Where we need help, similar to the video I mentioned earlier this week, is just more direct lines of communications with UCA executives. And then just some suggestions and issues that we're experiencing. And we have actually experienced a project change from our initial scope statement. Finding the location is no longer dependent on the interest level of the survey. Based off of our initial scope statement, we were going to pursue the location based off of the interest level of UCA students. But after speaking with our sponsor, she basically said that volunteers would be great. They're more than welcome to be there and help out with this project or once the students are on campus, but they're just not nearly as reliable as employees are. And so she said that they, being the Boys and Girls Club, would do their own hiring of staff once a location got determined. So that's no longer a part of our scope. Furthermore, here's our project charter. Just kind of scroll through here. Feel free to pause and read over any of our, our objectives or scope or approach or anything like that. We're still actually trying to determine a proper champion for our project. We flipped around a lot of who it should be, how high up should they be as far as getting stuff done on campus, and that kind of just goes back to a more direct line of communication with UCA administration. That's just something we've really struggled with as far as finding somebody that we can talk to that really has the time to allocate to this project, but also has the sway within the UCA community to get things done. And so that's still something that we're still trying to work out and find the appropriate champion. Summary of communication. So all of our contact with our sponsor has been through email. We provide her with weekly updates, and based off of those updates, she kind of gives us her feedback, whether she likes what we're doing as far as what we've completed the past week, and then she gives us her comments on what is going to happen in the future, whether she critiques it a little bit or she loves it. And so we've really had a great communication with our sponsor, and we really appreciate her because she's working hard on her end, getting back to us as quickly as possible. So we've really been lucky with our communications with our sponsor. Here's our preliminary scope statement, like I mentioned before. It said dependent on the interest gauged by UCA students, we will find a location suitable for the club to host all the children that are remaining on the wait list. So since then, it's been changed to once complete. That way, it is no longer dependent on that interest survey. Our deliverables is to conduct an interest survey amongst UCA. So obviously, that's no longer necessary. We're looking at an interest survey now that will talk to the master scheduler, or that the audience for those will be the master schedulers of all the UCA buildings, just to get a feel for what would be available for what we're looking for in our project. We're looking for a space that would be able to host over 100 kids potentially, from 3 to 7 p.m. every day, and so that's a big time commitment. And so finding that space will be kind of a trick in itself. And then our next deliverable would be finding a location suitable, like I mentioned, for the kids that are remaining on the wait list. But the big thing on this preliminary scope statement would be the measurable success criteria. So we're still working on securing appropriate project champion. The feedback from surveys has changed a little bit, so now it's directed at the master schedulers and not so much the students. We said that the ability to secure appropriate location would be a measurable success criteria, and then successfully hosting the children on campus would be our last successful criteria, just because even once we find a location, there'll still be things that we have to get done, proper approval from certain people on campus, and so we said that that would be another measurable criteria for this project. This is our team contract. We just kind of give the guidelines as far as the code of conduct, participation, and communication. Feel free to scroll through here or to pause while I scroll through, and feel free to read any of those if you're curious. We also talked about problem solving and meeting guidelines as well. So here's our draft schedule, just based off of our work base or our WBS. And so as you can see, everything has a start and finish date, and we've assigned resources to each task, just so we kind of know who's in charge of what throughout the project. Feel free to pause on that if you would like. Here's just some previously submitted items as far as a previous dashboard that we submitted. And then here's our after actions review. So here, the 3 good things that we said happened is our talk with President Davis. We were lucky enough to be at the same function as him earlier this week, and so we were able to talk with him and get his ideas on the project and what his opinion was, and he was able to give us a handful of people that we could talk to about progressing our project, and so we were really excited about that and having the opportunity to do that. Something else that we were really pleased with was having a team meeting regarding our roles and participation. Having the self-assessment survey due this week, it kind of got us all thinking whether or not we were playing our part. So we wanted to all kind of get together and re-synergize what our focus was and making sure that we were doing our best to serve the team and the project itself. And we felt like that meeting was really productive as far as getting everybody back on the same page and understanding our roles. And then the last thing that we considered good was we created the question list for our survey. So similar to the meeting where we talked about roles and participation, after that we wanted to sit down and create a survey that we could distribute amongst the master schedulers. So we had to determine how to do this in an unbiased way that would serve the questions that we needed to be answered as best as possible, and to get that kind of information for our sponsor, Miss Bray. And so this survey, we ended up including an information section about the tasks that the club would be. So we wanted to determine what we needed to do on the survey before we distributed it, just so we only had to do it one time and that nobody had a misunderstanding of what kind of area we were looking for. That goes into the bad things that we considered. Dr. Busser said that the technical writing team would not be doing any of the work until after fall break, and that's just a little bit after what we had planned for. So we were a little disappointed by that, just because we had planned for getting those surveys a little bit sooner. But we're working around it, and we decided to do it on our own. And so I think we were able to create a good foundation for the surveys as far as what we needed to ask. The next trick is distributing the surveys. Like I mentioned before, We're still working on an email list of all the master schedulers of all the buildings on campus, or if there's just one master scheduler that's in charge of all of campus. We're still trying to figure that out, and trying to reach out to the appropriate people. And then another topic that we considered bad was our communication with Dr. Grove Scott, who is the Dean of the College of Education. We had a really engaging conversation with her through email, and she just stopped responding to our emails all of a sudden. And so we were a little bit confused by that. And we didn't really know what to make of that. And so we ended up just contacting her a couple days later, just to follow up with her, and she was able to get back with us then. But that just all goes back to the struggles of the direct lines of communications that we're having throughout this project. So here's our project milestone report. As you can see, we've completed 2 of our milestones that we said that we would set at the beginning of our project. That was being contacting the potential sponsor, and then this project report being the other one. So we're really excited. Things will start moving fast here. We'll distribute the survey soon, and then as well as the project report the first week of next month. So things will start to move a little bit quicker now that we're starting to kind of execute throughout the project. So this next page is our methodology flowchart. Angel did a great job of putting this together for us. As you can see, it all just kind of flows. Feel free to pause and take a look at it. I'm not going to bore you by reading through each node or anything like that, so feel free to pause and read through it and let us know what you think about it. And then the last page of our project report is our Myers-Briggs type indicator executive summary. So this just kind of goes into what all of our personality types are and how those kind of affect the dynamics of our team. Like I said before, feel free to pause on any part of this page if you're just interested on a little bit more about everybody that's on this team and how that plays into our project. So this has been our project report 1 for the Boys and Girls Club at ECA project. Please let us know if you have any questions, or if we missed anything on this project report, or if you have any feedback for us, because we would love to hear anything that you guys have to say. Thank you for watching the video, and have a nice fall break.